Sober? Isolated? Me too. This is a podcast where we talk to people about how they're staying sober and sane during these trying times. This is Sober During Crisis. What's going on, everybody? It's your host, Ange Buxton. We're going to drop this little bonus episode here. I still have a full episode dropping Friday, but this conversation ended up being pretty short, partially because the audio was horrendous. You know, I thought last week's audio was hard to edit. This one definitely 5,000,000% takes the cake. I don't even like that expression. Like, who's taking cake? Calm down. These conversations are definitely helping me right now. I think that my recovery feels a lot stronger. Getting different advice from different people helps me to find what's actually going to work for me, and that's great. But it's cool to hear that other people are being helped by this. So thank you so much for those of you that have reached out and said that. I really appreciate it. And like they say in the rooms, keep coming back. It works if you have a ton more interviews. No, but I am really excited about some of the conversations I've had in the past 2 or 3 weeks where I'm like, man, I cannot wait to edit this episode. I can't wait for other people to hear this. So I'm getting faster at editing. You're reaching out more about getting interviewed. It's a really dope combination. Today's guest is someone I know from recovery. Their name is Dana. And this conversation happened over a month ago at this point. It was like March 26th, I believe. So some of the information might be outdated at this point, but how to be and live in recovery is still pretty much the same. All right, so let's learn some stuff together on Sober During Crisis. All right. But really, how are you doing? Like, what have you been up to on like a day-to-day basis?
Wait, are you gonna ask me to say who I am?
Oh yeah, who are you? What's going on? I'm new here, okay? I'm new in town.
I'm Dana, and I have been sober for 5.5 years.
Like, that makes me want to cheer, but I'm afraid it's gonna fuck up the audio.
Yeah, still sober through this pandemic.
Yeah, holy crap. How's it been for you?
It has been a wild ride so far. I mean, I can't believe that it's only been like a week and a half, really. And yeah, I mean, I got sick for the week before everything started shutting down. I got sick, and so I've been isolating a little bit longer than other people. And those first few days in isolation were really rough because I was sick, so all I was doing was watching TV, which was like not great for my mind or my mental health. And I mean, yeah, this is a crisis, like your podcast is called Sober During Crisis, and that's what this is. And I think that we're all dealing with it in different ways. But I think it's hard for everybody in one way or another.
Can I ask if there's any way that COVID isolation stuff has impacted your recovery? Like, is there anything you're doing differently or extra or less of?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I'm part of a 12-step program for sobriety, and I think like being able to go to meetings, being able to see people is something that's always been really helpful for me in my recovery, having that structure. And those meetings still exist. They've just, pretty much all of them have shifted over to being digital meetings. They're on Zoom now, or they're conference calls. And that's been a really big shift for me. But it's definitely still one of the things that I rely on to, help me feel like I'm okay and like I'm not alone in this. And, it's kind of funny, at least the 12-step groups that are doing Zoom meetings, it's really funny to see this like sober Brady Bunch, this like grid of people on the screen who are all, trying to make it work in our various beautiful disheveled selves.
Am I the only narcissist that finds it really distracting to be like that? No matter what screen I went to, it was just like me, and I'm like, oh yeah. God, I don't see myself.
I know. Yeah, that part's hard. That's definitely distracting for me a little bit. I have to try not to look at the screen. But it is cute. I mean, it is really sweet to get to see a glimpse in people's lives, and everybody's like holding their tiny dogs and their cats. Everyone's like in their pajamas, wearing no makeup, looking super disheveled, but like still very cute and wholesome.
I know. I love that everyone now is like, I wear makeup for me, but now they're like, I actually don't. I don't wear makeup for myself.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, I still have been going to meetings and that's been helping. But I think that, that's for me, I've been sober for 5.5 years and I don't have that obsession to drink in the same way that I did when I was newly sober. And, I want to recognize, like, for me, staying sober in the crisis is about, like, sort of maintaining this really strong foundation of sobriety that I feel like I already have. And I can only imagine how different that would feel if I was really newly sober, because when I was newly sober, am I allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I don't warning kids, cusses.
But like, yeah, when I was newly sober, I was fucking desperate and, everything hurt so much. I can imagine myself feeling really, really anxious, really, really squirrely. Like I needed a way out of all of this. And, I think for me, that's what drinking and using was about. It was about trying to find a way out of my feelings, trying to find a way out of my body, out of my memories, out of the things that cause me pain. In these last several years of sobriety, my process of being sober has been about learning how to sit with discomfort. And when I was newly sober, I remember I remember hearing this thing, which is like, when you're newly sober, the good news is you're going to feel better. Like, you're not going to have a hangover anymore. Like, your body's going to feel better. You're not going to have these intense cravings anymore, that sort of thing. But the bad news, or the rough news, is that you're going to feel better. Like, you're going to have more feelings than you are used to having. For folks who are getting sober right now, it's a kind of a double whammy, because it's more feelings, really, really having to deal with the hard stuff that, when we're in active alcoholism, we try and really push away and not have to feel or think about. That stuff all comes up in early sobriety. And it is true that this is a more isolating time, and a time when globally we're in crisis. Like, it's not just one person having an individual crisis. This is a global crisis. It's definitely tricky, but there is still a support, and, there are still options for community. We're just needing to do it digitally instead of doing it face to face. I think that for me, getting sober is about learning how to let myself just have my feelings, let myself be upset when I need to be upset, and deal with the memories and the thoughts that come up. And I don't know the answers. Like,
The serenity prayer has been really helpful for me. That's been one specific tool I've been able to hang on to and use pretty much any time something feels really tough.
yeah. Well, and I have to take it piece by piece. Like, accept the things I cannot change. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Like, I cannot change that we're in the middle of a global crisis, that this is a pandemic. I can't change that, all of these businesses are closed. I can't change that some of the people I love might be at risk of getting seriously ill. I can't change grocery stores are like a war zone right now. There's so much that I can't change, and to really accept that, not in terms of saying I agree with it, like, yeah, woohoo, pandemic, but like, accept it as, yes, this is really happening. The courage to change the things I can. I can support myself. I can still go to meetings. I can still pray. I can still call people. The part that I can do is what's right in front of me. And, the wisdom to know the difference. It's like, if I can't tell what I have control over and what I don't, then I'm a lot more likely to be anxious. And sometimes I need to ask other people in my life, or ask my higher power to help me tell what's the difference. If I'm freaking out and totally spinning out, usually it's because I want to have control over something.
Yeah, that's like really, thank you for saying that. I really need to hear that today. Are you, as far as day-to-day routines, like just like on a practical level, like what have you kept? What have you changed? Like, I guess for for me, I'm like, are we still showering? Like, am I doing this right?
That is a really good question. I do have a job that lets me work from home. So I've been doing that, and I've been trying to keep a regular schedule of working, 7 or 8 hours a day, and having, starting work half an hour or 45 minutes after I wake up. I tried for a bunch of days to just like not change and not work and not do anything other than watch TV. Like, my coping mechanism for the first week or so was just to watch TV. I'm sober from drugs and alcohol, but there is still part of me that looks for a way out sometimes.
I
And
bought a PS4.
yeah, like Netflix is, I did that for a handful of days and I just felt wretched. I just felt awful. There wasn't enough stimulus during my day that I felt ready for rest. And so I was anxious all night and having a hard time sleeping. And now, I do get up, I do get ready, I change my clothes, I change into clothes that are also extremely comfortable. So it's almost like I have like my fancier day pajamas and then I have my evening pajamas. And, I'm trying to work in a different room from where I rest at night. That way there's a little bit of division in my day.
That's such a good idea. I really like that suggestion.
Well, because I realized, like, for me, like, me feeling like I had a nice full day is really reliant on those regular rhythms of get up, get ready, get in the car, get out of the car, walk up the stairs, say hi to somebody, like, sit down on my computer, work for a little bit, heat up some lunch, run an errand on my way home, and, having the car rides, having those daily transitions. And without that at home, I've been really kind of going crazy. And so, I do have a job that's letting me work from home, but sometimes if I have like a work conference call or something, I'll do it while I'm taking a 45-minute walk instead of doing it at home. I am trying to figure out how to weave some more like creative things into my day and letting myself take breaks, not be so hard on myself that, I'm at work and I must never stop. Like, letting myself have those natural breaks and rhythms that I would have.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that you now officially have to refer to your pets as your coworkers. Like that's just the law.
Oh yeah, my coworker's in big trouble. Then he sleeps all day.
I gotta ask though, are you any Netflix suggestions? I want to know, honestly.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't remember. I mean, I have a lot of different TV subscriptions, so I don't remember which show's on what. But I don't know. You know what? I've been watching Ellen DeGeneres' Game of Games, which is on Hulu. That's been super fun.
Ooh, is that like a game show?
Yeah, it's a game show, but it's very sort of physical in nature. There's a lot of like people dressed up and climbing up fake mountains to return gems, and I don't know. It's fun.
It's like Legends of the Hidden Lesbian.
It is Legends of the Hidden Lesbo. But yeah, I don't know, man. Staying sober right now, I still have to call people. I have to do the meetings, working with my support person, my sponsor and supporting another person as well, maintaining that. Still going to therapy. Therapy it has nothing to do with 12-step work, but it's a really important supplement for me to feel like I got my screws screwed on.
I was so reluctant to do it at first. I'm like, no, I don't need the video. And then within a week, I'm like, man, I'm really sick of myself. And I need to talk to somebody about this that I'm paying. Like, I'm calling a lot of people, but at the same time, I don't want to like overkill those lines of communication. Like, I'm like, man, if you're sick of me, you should see how I feel about myself right now.
And I mean, I get really hung up sometimes feeling like, oh no, like I called this same person too many times. Like, I don't want to be a burden and that sort of thing. And, I have to trust that people will set their own limits. And for me, like when I get a phone call from somebody, that helps. When I get to tell somebody about the tools that I have and the things that I've learned in recovery, even if I'm struggling, it reminds me that I have tools. Like helping someone else see the tools that I've been giving reminds me that I have tools. And oftentimes, like somebody will call me about something totally different than whatever it is that I'm going through. But the act of talking to them, somehow what I tell them usually applies to whatever situation I'm going through. So it's like, even if the content of what we're struggling with is totally different, like those tools are pretty universal. Pray about it, turn it over, recognize that like we're not the one in control. Do a reading, like, go for a walk,
Right. That's super helpful to hear too. Just like that, letting go of how the other person feels, like they can set their own boundaries. If I need to reach out, I should just do it. I definitely grew up where there was no such thing as healthy boundaries. So I get really, I don't know, I feel like most people don't understand healthy boundaries. But then as every year goes by, I'm like, oh, this is like, most people know how to say no.
Yeah, and most people, maybe they don't even say no. Maybe they just don't pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone is the easiest way to say no for somebody who struggles with setting limits.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for the most part, what I've heard in like in meetings, everything's like, don't drink, go to meetings. And so in a time like this, when, I cannot drink, but I really can't just go to a meeting. I can't just physically show up at one. So,
Mm-hmm.
and doing like the Zoom meetings, I think I got to give them more of a chance. I'm like very skeptical. I don't know if it's like that, this like Big Brother is watching you kind of thing, or if it's,
I mean, even if Big Brother is watching, which, like, who knows? Big Brother doesn't care if you're sober. Like, I don't know. It's not a political thing to be in recovery. And yeah, like, the government
yeah.
doesn't care if I'm sober. The government would, like, come onto a Zoom meeting and they'd be like, well, that's boring. Not that it's boring. It's thrilling for us who are in recovery.
Word. I think my favorite part is getting to see everybody's different pets. Where you're like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I had no idea you have such a cute cat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very sweet.
So during this part, we got to talking about whether or not liquor stores were open, and we both thought they were not, but it turns out they are and have been. However, here's my response from a month ago to the question, are liquor stores still open? I know there was one day where I was in my own little crisis mode and everything seemed like it was falling apart. And I knew that if I left the house, I was going to try to go see if a liquor store was open. So I just went to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 2 in the afternoon. And that's just like how I dealt with that moment that day.
Good.
Cause I
Yeah.
was like, there's nowhere to go. There's no,
Mm-hmm.
even a park felt sketchy that day because it was super nice out and people were everywhere. And
Yeah.
it's like, sometimes you just got to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually don't know for sure whether or not liquor stores are open.
If you're listening to this and you're really struggling, like, I really, really know what that desperation is like, and I really know what it's like to need something, to feel this urge, this obsession so much, to change the way that you feel. And you don't ever have to drink again, and you don't ever have to use again. This is a really scary time for all of us, but you aren't alone. And I think it's scary to think about. I think part of what's hard for so many people right now, part of what's hard for me right now, is we have no idea how long this isolation is going to last. It could be another 2 weeks, it could be 2 months, it could be a year. Yeah, like, I get so scared. Really, really, really slowing down a little bit and taking just today. Just today, just this part that's in front of me, just this hour. And when I was newly sober, thinking about not drinking or using for a whole day felt like way too long. It was 10 minutes at a time for me for a while. Waiting 10 more minutes and calling somebody else in that 10 minutes worked for me so many times.
I love that. Do you want to leave with any, do you have any resources that I could link to when I post the episode?
You can get PDFs of a lot of the readings about sobriety. You can get them for free on the internet.
So besides online readings and PDFs, which, by the way, I found all of Came to Believe online, and that book is fire. Dana also mentioned going online and searching for your local district of whatever your anonymous 12-step program is. So if you call the number on your local district and be like, hey, I'm from here and I'm looking for this, somebody should answer and get you to the meeting you need to be at. They also have like all sorts of online lists and directories and everything for Zoom meetings right now. So you can just literally do a Google search for that. The other thing Dana suggested was to get into those meetings and then share. Specifically, if you're new or if you're struggling, to actually go into chat and be like, hey, like, I'm struggling. Or if you can, verbally share and say, hey, I'm new, I'm struggling, and to ask for phone numbers.
And let people help you.
As painful as it is to admit this is probably the best time to call someone because most people are just doing nothing. So
it's true. It's true.
All right, thank you so much, Dana. This is like really helpful. There's definitely so much great advice in there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just want to say one more thing too, is that, like, so many of us want to beat ourselves up. Like, when we have a feeling we don't like, we just try and, beat it up, shut ourselves up. And that's really common for those of us who are alcoholics and addicts. And in a time like this, like, we are in a global crisis and we are all having feelings about it. And I think my last tool to share, that's something that I use, is just, as much as I possibly can, just to be gentle with myself and if I have a feeling or I'm scared or whatever it is that's going on, when that voice turns on that starts saying, oh, shut up, you're taking this too seriously, you're such a baby, blah, 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 stupid and disgusting and, like really self-deprecating thoughts, to just turn to that part of me and say, it's okay. And anything that I can do to bring in some compassion and love. And if I can't do that for myself, because in early sobriety, I hated myself so much. I regretted everything I'd ever done. I thought nobody loved me. And I just had to take those leap of faith and call other people. And they shared love with me. Ask my higher power to take care of me. For me, the most powerful thing I can do to connect with my higher power is just to say, God, I'm scared. Please be with me. I am scared and I don't know what to do. So that's it for me.
I really need to hear that. It's like just accepting myself for where I am today. And it has been hard. Like it's been hard. I don't know. I feel like we live in a society where admitting you're scared is not, I would say go as far as to say it's frowned upon. Yeah. So to say, hey, I'm freaked the fuck out. Like most people, it's totally everything's fault. We can shoot it with our guns. But like, no, this is kind of a freaky situation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop the recording and just chat. Thank you so much to Dana for being a guest on our show. And thank you to you, our listener, for being here. We have another full episode dropping this Friday. I'm going to be talking to my first internet stranger. And it goes like way better than expected. It's actually super cool. If you're an internet stranger and you want to be on the show, you can email soberduringcrisis@gmail.com. And yeah, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Look, here's what you got to do. Just don't pick up today, no matter what. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Ange Buxton. Peace.